It started as a simple probe by a Senate ad hoc committee into financial spendings under various leaderships of the Niger Delta Development Commission.
And as details of seeming reckless spending by the past and present leaderships were uncovered by the Senate ad hoc committee on the National Assembly, accusations and counter-accusations started flying between the Minister of Niger Delta and the former acting managing director of the Interim Management Committee of the NDDC.
The chairman of the committees on Niger Delta development of both houses of the federal legislature were accused by the present interim management committee of trying to hijack the NDDC. But until investigations are concluded, it is too early to take sides in a matter with no end in sight. Joining us via Skype is human rights campaigner Ankyo Briggs. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you for inviting me.
We are certain that you have been following recent developments with regards to the NDDC probe, and we've seen reactions, allegations and counter-allegations, and of much importance to a lot of Nigerians was the recent response by the Minister of Niger Delta with regards to the allegations laid against him. I wonder what your reaction is to his reaction.
Well, I mean, quite honestly, the people who need to be sided are the Niger Delta people. Niger Delta Development Commission is a corruption, a free-fall corruption, if you like, as far as the Niger Delta people are concerned. Now, we are aware of the interim management committee that is set up. The probe is going on. Quite honestly, it's not so much the reaction of either the minister or the past interim management MD that I am interested in as a Niger Delta indigene, as a stakeholder. I am interested in the reality and the facts that we have been saying for decades that there is corruption in the Niger Delta Commission. Now, this corruption, we need to get to the bottom of the corruption. How did it start? Who are the people? Niger Delta people are there. Strangers are there. People, that is people who don't belong to the Niger Delta. People who are getting these jobs and are not doing these jobs, and the so-called Niger Delta people that are also in the Niger Delta Development Commission that have perpetuated, that have been part of this terrible disaster that has befallen the Niger Delta people. Now, let them finish. As far as we are concerned, the audit must go on, and the audit must go on, and it must be done by external audit bodies. I have said that right from the beginning, that it cannot be done by Nigerians. It cannot even be done by the interim management committee. They have now put themselves in a position where they themselves need to be audited. How do you find yourself in less than 1 year of being appointed? You find yourself in this position where there is accusation going to the minister, and then there is accusation coming back to the interim board. This is unacceptable. It's a disgrace, and we must get to the bottom of it. But getting to the bottom of it does not. I mean, what the National Assembly is doing is a constitutional thing that they have to do. But at the end of the day, the National Assembly itself is not going to do the audit. We demand that the audit is done by external people. And if we're going to continue with this, we want a situation where the process of employing people who are going to manage the NDDC will have to go outside, will have to be done by advertising, if you like, the positions, so that people who can run this commission will be able to run this commission in the interest of the Niger Delta people. Now, whether they are going to be foreigners or whether they're going to be Nigerians that are based outside and inside of Nigeria, so that we're not continuously bringing in representatives of presidency, representatives of National Assembly, of governors, of failed politicians who are preparing for the next tenure they are going to run for. The abuse of the Niger Delta people's suffering, the disregard for the pain of the Niger Delta people is so unacceptable. It is so unacceptable. And I don't care if they are Niger Delta people or they are not Niger Delta people. Everybody has looted the Niger Delta Development Commission.
Yeah, in fact, from this standpoint right now, it's very heartbreaking when you hear all of these reports. But let me ask you, a lot of eminent Nigerians, in fact, a report was credited to you about a month ago saying that the Niger Delta has outlived its usefulness. Or originally, the NDDC had outlived its usefulness. Now, the point there is NDDC was established to at least be an avenue to cater for the communities and people of the Niger Delta one way or the other, in addition to what the ministry is doing, and in addition to what the governors are doing, in addition to what the federal government is doing. But what do you still have that notion that the NDDC has outlived its usefulness?
Well, it was more like a question, like I'm doing right now, because we know, I mean, it's a pity that most of the people who have actually been involved in running the NDDC were not even part of the agitation that fought Abacha, that fought Obasanjo when he came in 1999, to the point where Obasanjo had to create the Niger Delta Development Commission. Now, people who have been running this agency were not even part of that process. And so if you were not part of that process and you're not doing well, that's why I'm saying that we should begin to look at another way of running the commission. Because if we're going to continue to run the commission in this manner, where the commission has to run to the National Assembly for its budget to be approved, and then it is under supervision of the of either the president or the secretary to federal government, or the advisor or the chief of staff, whoever that person is, or a cabal, whoever they are. This was created for the Niger Delta people. It was created for us. It was not created for any other region but the the 9 oil-producing states in Nigeria. And for people who are not from this region, for people who are not Niger Delta, who have paid the price like we have paid for oil and gas, to have such a massive say, for our own people to join with other people, with strange people, as far as I'm concerned, to do this havoc, to run amok, to steal in the manner in which we are hearing billions, it's unbelievable and it is unacceptable. And that's why I am asking this question. Because don't forget, Niger Delta Commission is not the only commission or agency, rather, that is created. We have the Northeast Commission that is going on. Nobody is hearing any of these things. And I don't even see what they're doing in the Northeast, because the whole place is just completely destroyed. And yet, when it comes to the Niger Delta Development Commission, the region where the wealth of this country is coming from, that everybody, even the pipe that is going to Kaduna and Ajokuta and all of these places, we are the ones paying the price. And yet the very small thing, the minimal thing of this agency that has been set up for us, and the ministry that has been set up for us, because of our long-term agitation, our people are still not able to benefit from it. Everybody, whether you're from the north, the south, the east, and the west, if you have been part of this evil against the Niger Delta people, we must make sure that we get to the bottom of this, and everybody who is involved must pay the price of their involvement in destroying the lives of the Niger Delta people. This is such a shame.
All right.
Ankyo Briggs, we must thank you so much for your time on The Breakfast Show.
Thank you very much.